Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to be running through some BIM 360 training. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of BIM 360, starting with the project library brief and some navigation techniques, my naming convention that I use in all these projects, what the project home tool is, the insight, document management, design collaboration, model coordination. I'll do a shallow dive on those. We'll go into a deeper dive in later videos. So without further ado, let's get started. As you can see on my screen right now, there is the dashboard. This is the project home site. You can tell by up in the left corner up here, you can tell what tool you're using right now and then the project that you're on. So if you ever need to jump to a different project, this is where you'll do it at. You won't have all projects. I have all projects, but if you ever need to be added to any projects, just please let me know. I also give some permissions to other people to add people to the project too. So the lead architect on this will also have permissions to add people, so you can also ask them. And then this is where all your tools are. So I got project home, insight, document management, design collaboration, model coordination. Most of you will have all 5 of those, but you will not have account or project admin. If you do have project admin, that's how you know you can add people to it. All right, so starting off with the home screen, we get some information. This is stuff that I filled in at the beginning of this project. It asks you where the address, and then it gives you project address, location, and then some weather. Brief overlook at design issues and project issues and then design packages. We currently don't have anything in there right now. It's a relatively new project. So next tool I'll briefly show you is called Insight. Also similar to the home screen dashboard. It just shows it in a little bit more information. We don't have any issues in here right now, so this is where all of that gets tracked. You can also attach a schedule in here. All right, so document management is next. This is going to be the most important one and probably the most involved. Oh, and it signs me out. Okay, so we're back into document management for the Genesis project. When it opens up, it opens directly up to the plans section. And then we also have project files over here. All right, so first off, to get here, all of these projects are named pretty similar with a couple of exceptions. Some of these won't have the location, but it basically goes something like this. And to bring up the naming convention, it's this. So we have the BIM 360 project naming convention. It's pretty simple. It's just project number, hyphen, project name, hyphen, and then this is optional, the project location. Sometimes the projects don't actually have a physical location. They're just maybe they're for multiple different projects, or it's just in the works or something like that. So sometimes this is optional. But I include the project location so that you can search Bettendorf or Genesis ED, and both of them will pop up. We'll get into the Revit naming convention in a minute. So in this document management tab, there's at the top we have folders, reviews, transmittals, and issues. We won't get into too much of this. This is a formal review package, and this is transmittals. We don't need to worry about that right now. In issues, we'll be running a full video on issues, so that will come later. To start off, every folder, every project will have these 4 or 5 folders for all of the basically publishing. The difference between plans and projects is pretty simple. Think of plans being something that you submit for review. So if I'm designing a project and I want my manager to look at it, this is where I'll export, print to PDF. There's a video on that too, where you print to PDF and then upload to the correct folder. For instance, you can see here, Scott wanted Yvonne to upload a review for Genesis. I did this yesterday, so this is a good example. You can tell that right here, he uploaded all of the files and they're all named properly. In that video, it shows you how to do all of this. So that's further on in the training. I won't get into that right now. But this is where you'll access all of that. You'll basically see a little definition of the scripter and then the date. So that's plans. Project files are going to be like where your Revit files are stored, or where your CAD files are stored. So, and they're all set up the exact same too. So we have project files, and there's 2 folder structures here, 3 actually. You have the Erdman, which is the default. Everyone should have access to that. And you have add company or build out. This is for future companies. that might join us. Maybe it's a consultant or something like that. And then we also have the shared folder. The shared folder is there because of the model coordination, which I'll get into in a bit. So to start off, Erdman, we have all the different stages here, and these are all going to be consistent across all projects. So you'll see this in every single project. You'll have the planning folder, architecture, structure. These operate as their own separate teams. That's important also in the model coordination. But like I said, we'll get into that later. So we'll open up the planning model, or planning folder. In this, we'll have consumed. Do not worry about consumed. Consumed is a method where basically folder or files are archived. Don't need to worry about that unless we need to go back in time and revert a change or something like that. I also usually include a from owner. This is anything from like CAD files, PDFs, stuff that the owner is giving us that I will upload, and then you can directly link these into Revit. All right, back into the planning folder. This is where we'll have our planning model at. So this is actually where you sync from Revit. And a quick note about the Revit naming convention. We have the Revit naming convention here. I have it listed right here. So go jump back into the PowerPoint real quick. The Revit model naming convention, also pretty simple, but varies a little bit different from the BIM360 just because of how file structures are done in Revit. So we have project number, we have project name, and then we do not include the location in here because we're not actually searching by location in the Revit model. I tried to make the name just a little bit shorter, so we'll go Genesis ED, and then a different from the BIM360 project, we have the discipline in here. So this will either be plan for planning, we have A for architecture, S for structural, M for mechanical, P for plumbing, E for electrical, and that FP for fire protection, but we don't really have fire protection. And another important note, you'll notice that I have the Revit version, R21. This is important to have in the title because when you're opening up a Revit file, you don't actually know what file it is until you open it up. So if I'm trying to open this up in a Revit 2018, it just won't open, and I'll have to go through a 5-minute process to figure that out. Or if it's in the title, I'll know automatically. So that's a little bit about the Revit naming convention that I have set up here. This is where that thing's held. So I can actually click on this thing. We can get into the 3D model of it. So here in the Genesis project, this is my 3D model. You could tell my name here will always include everything in the project. That's why it looks a little bit weird. Looks like we have some structural systems in here. Looks like they built out the floor plan for it. It doesn't look like they're building out the entire project here. I know this project in particular, they're just doing the build out in the middle. These are non-contract, so we don't model them, at least not right now. We can also view, we can set up different views. So if we want to set up a section for the first floor, I think looks like Pete was working on this office layout. So we could set up different views inside of Revit, and then they will automatically, whenever they get published, they will automatically get uploaded here. We can also switch over the 2D view. The 2D views are going to be all the 2D views in Revit, whatever we publish. So there's some detail stuff in here. I mean, even the open close sheet is in here. And then we have some details, and then we get into the floor plans here. I believe these are all organized alphabetically. So we can tell here, view the first floor plan, and boom, there's the first floor plan. It will load up. Lines look a little thick, but when you zoom in, it auto-corrects for you. All right, so a couple things you could do inside of this, and you can do this inside of the project folder too, or the 3D model. So I could switch over to 3D model and have all these tools. I'm going to run through these tools. I will not be running through issues and markups in this video. Those are going to be saved for a later video. They're a little bit more involved, so I'll run into that one a little bit later. All right, so starting off, we got the pan tool. Simple. It's the little hand up there, you can see, and then click and drag. You can also use the middle button on your mouse for easier navigation. Hit that middle button and you're able to pan too. So I could do zoom window as well. So say I want to see, let's check out this treatment room. Boom. Zooms in automatically. There's also a second option in there. Hit this little arrow up here and it's the zoom. You press click, hold, and drag. You can do fit to view, fits everything in the view inside of your screen. Measure tool is pretty cool. So measure is actually has a couple different functions inside of it. You can go distance, angle, area, arc, or calibrate. I think that my model should already tell you, should already be correct. So 72 inches. Perfect. All right, so that's 6 foot. Unfortunately, I don't want to see 72 inches. So what do? I go into measure settings here. You can change this down to fractional feet and inches, and it changes automatically. And if I want to enable free measure, that's basically not snapping onto line. By default, it will snap onto line work. If you want to enable free measure, it won't snap on. It will snap on, but it won't do it specifically just snapping. You can measure from anywhere. All right, you can do angles, you can do areas. Areas are pretty simple too, but they don't stay, which is kind of a weird feature of them. So you click this, and then right there, once you click, then you're done. To exit out of this, there it goes. So it actually does stay. You have to complete the square or the area, whatever that might be. It'll tell me 151 is my area of this treatment room, and then I can also delete the measurement here. All right, it gives you some arcs, a calibrate tool. If your drawing is not calibrated, basically all you do is calibrate it. You find a dimension. So I'm going to use the 6 foot dimension because it's simple. And then you just type in 6 foot 0 inches. Calibrate, now it's calibrated. And that is that. So that's the measure tool. A couple other things we do, we can hide some markups. So whenever we start getting further along in these documents, we'll see more layers and markups. We can hide all of those. We can hide all the issues or highlight the issues. We can click, this feature is really cool. Click a 2D location to view that space in 3D. So this only happens in the project files. So whenever I'm viewing the model itself, I can actually click a location in 2D. We'll say, I was working in this treatment room, so I'll go back to this treatment room. Click there, sets up a view, and you can spin this around to see which area you want to face. Click there again, and it will automatically bring you to the 3D navigation. Gives you some idea or some tips to navigate in first person. I'll use the WASD. It's kind of like a video game. You can also go up and down elevation wise. That's up and down. And then the run tool, you just move a little faster. Or to teleport, you can double click on anywhere on this map. You can adjust your speed and you can look around. So here I'm in this, let me zoom in here, I'm in this treatment room. Oops. Takes a little bit to get used to the navigation, but I'm just clicking and dragging to move around. And I can check out this whole room. Maybe I want to walk a little bit, so I'll hit the W button, walk a little forward, check out this side of the room. Perfect. All right. So let me jump to another room. I want to check out the nurse's station from this angle here. So you can tell where I'm looking. Right now I'm looking directly at the meds room, the wall there. But there, now you can see I'm facing the nurse's station. I can walk around, hit the W button, walk around. I can strafe right to left. It's a little glitchy. You can go inside walls or through walls. You just step right over stuff. So, all right, and then I can go up and down too. So, if I want to imagine what it's like to be a short person, I could do that. I can also float up, and we can go through walls and ceilings. So maybe I want to check out what the MEPs look like above. I can do that in first person as well. All right, I'm going to go back to that first floor plan. All right, so I can go to split view mode as well. So this allows me to view a 3D view or a 2D view, for instance. You just select whatever view you have up here, and you can actually just view both at the same time. And then this navigation window is basically the same. And you can operate both of them simultaneously. So that's pretty cool. If you ever want to get out of those, you just hit this X button up here. This exit button will take you off this view altogether. All right, split view mode. That's what I just showed you. Sorry about that. We have compare. So I can compare two separate documents. Maybe they're the same drawing. So maybe I want, oh, look at that. So it popped up automatically. Document A, document B. I'm able to compare version 5 with version 4, or I mean even a lesser version. I can do version 1. I can compare both of these. So maybe I'll do this. Actually, version 1 probably won't have much in it. I'll just do 3. So we'll see what the difference is between A and B. Doesn't look like much. All right, so the stuff highlighted, you can start seeing what's modified. We could do the result as a tree or the flat result list. Result as tree will basically give you casework, and then it'll define the casework. I'll just go with flat one. We'll say this wall here. So what did they do? They changed the base constraint to the first floor, and they changed the top constraint up to level 2nd floor, and I assume they did that with all the walls. Looks like there's a ton of walls they did that with. We'll check out some casework here. So this casework, looks like they changed the host from level 1 to 1st floor. So I think they just changed the name there. But I mean, it'll highlight stuff, which is very useful to do, to compare versions, maybe see what got changed if you don't know what got changed, especially if you're not in the loop. All right, we'll close this viewer. Go back into my plan here. It's pretty easy to navigate. All right, so we have more tools. These are settings. I don't really worry too much about the settings. There's really not much change inside of here unless you want to change how you navigate. Configuration is more about how what units you want to use. If you use file units, it'll typically do the correct one, but you can override it to where it's fractional inches and feet, and then change the precision as well. You can change the navigation, like I said, or you can change the appearance, but I really don't mess with any of these. Properties, this one's useful for 3D stuff. So let me go to a 3D view, and I'll select properties so you can see what's going on. All right, so I can select any of these elements, and we will be able to check it out, even the CAD file. So this CAD file, basically like a 2D document, I can actually go in and see, okay, this is an import symbol, what works as on, you can get a bunch of information, what the name of it is, site plan clean, where it's at. I can also click on something a little bit more important. So say I want to figure out what this wall is. If this wall, if I'm reviewing this and say, oh, this wall actually should be a fire rated wall, I can actually go in and see what type of wall this is. It'll give you the type name, type A6B, give you some naming information, give you a little description too, assembly description, assembly code, type mark, a bunch of stuff. It will give you the length of this wall, the volume, area. Volume's not going to be too helpful with most walls, but if it's a concrete wall, it might be. Then it gives you some more information. I mean, these are all parameters within Revit, so it's basically just reading Revit information and then printing it out to you. But like I said, you can do that to anything. So I want to define what this one is. It's a W shape. And then here's the type name. Type name is W24 by 55. All right. There's some more settings here. The settings are different between 2D view and 3D view. So I could change this, I could change the environment, we could change the colors of the background, a bunch of stuff. And then going back into the 2D view, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Nope, that was it. So you can do full screen too, but I won't go into that. We also have some markup tools here, and then markups over here. We can also go search for markups. We can sort for issues, view some history, filter by phases, or view levels. But that is it for the document management tool. So that was viewing it in the 3D. This is basically viewing directly from the Revit model. It's a little less organized in terms of sheets. So if I click on that again, I'll show you what I mean. This 2D here, the sheets aren't completely organized, and it's kind of like a weird way to to sort through views. If you want someone to print you out a set, basically you print out a PDF from Revit and then upload it into one of these files here, this is going to be a much easier way to sort. And you can also pick and choose whatever you want to publish. Maybe you just want the managers to see all your sheets that you printed rather than all your views, since they don't really care about the details. And sometimes I can just click on this and it's the same thing. I don't get the 3D view, but I do get the sheet. It's a little bit cleaner, and we can also do our markups and issues on here. All right, on to the next one. We'll go into design collaboration. I'll briefly touch on this. I'll go into a deeper dive in a later video. And then there's model coordination as well. That'll be the last thing I touch on in this video. All right, so design collaboration is pretty cool. We have what we call what Autodesk calls it, swim lanes. And you could tell whenever a file gets published, which I think is awesome. So I could tell, I'll go into this node here. And all of these little squares are when this planning model was published. You can also see in the planning folder that we're uploading DWGs. You can see some of that. So this one, you can tell that A802 DWG was uploaded on February 8th. That was actually today. But if I go back a little bit, we can see that the Genesis version 5, this Revit model, was published on 2/8, which is also today. If we want to go back, I'm just zooming out, pressing or scrolling back, and it's zooming out on the schedule. I'll also use this little tool down here. All right, so here it says that the DWG was uploaded. We could really go back and check out when everything was published. Once we start getting multiple trades publishing, this will start seeing an overlap. So you start seeing how this project layers in, who's publishing, who's getting some work done, who's not getting the work done, and start managing from there. So that was this little arrow button. It's pretty hidden. It's these 3 dots. Then you have to hit down again. If I want to change, so right now I'm in the planning folder. Currently this project only has stuff in the planning folder, but I can switch over to architecture too. We can start diving into the details of architectural models and files. Other things, we can manage issues here, see the issues that are in our model, check project status. This kind of gives you some history. Go back to the planning model, you can see that. Gives you some history about what's going on. So this is successfully published, and then the path gives you some details there. And then it also gives you some changes. I don't have anything set up in this project right now, so I won't get into that. All right, model coordination. Essentially, this tool is basically clash detection. So I can control all my models. I can view the clashes. So I'll compare 2 different models and then see what clashes happen. I'll dive into this one later, so I won't touch on this too much. And we can also set up some views. All right, well, that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to show you the user interface of this BIM360 and then dive into a little bit of document management and some navigation around that. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. We will go through markups and issues, and I'll also at a later time get into design collaboration and model coordination. Thanks for watching.